Hey everyone, it is Kelly Hoey, author of Build Your Dream Network, and I am so thrilled to be here with my friend Shannah Game, who, if you don't know Shannah, then you haven't been listening to the Millennial Money podcast, and that's a bit silly because 164 countries?
Something like that. Yeah, crazy.
Like nutty. Shannah is demystifying and revolutionizing how we think, feel, deal with finances, and how we feel and how comfortable we are about money. She's also a certified financial planner. She teaches college students about money. Wow.
I'm tired listening to that.
And she's got a really cool Kickstarter, and we're going to talk about that. So money, this is an important topic to me because I often say to people when I am asked, what, Kelly, are your three biggest pieces of career advice? And I say to them, build your expertise, build your network, build your bank account. So this is why money matters to me, because you can do stuff with your careers. I also started life with a very neurotic view about money. So got to know, why is it healthy, and what is healthy money mindset?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's this piece of the puzzle of that sort of success puzzle that we don't really talk about. I mean, we don't talk about money to begin with, so that's a whole other conversation.
Dirty, rude topic.
Yes,
impolite.
I often say that it is like my mission in life to make talking about money like this dinner time conversation, to have a conversation like we are with like friends and, cocktails and chatting, and you're talking about money in this open way. And I think doing that really helps that idea of cultivating a healthy money mindset, right? So because there's so much shame and guilt, there's the conscious stuff, right, that we're aware of. You're consciously aware of maybe the mistakes you've made or investments that you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or, for most of us, it's kind of negative things around money, or like, oh, I should have taken that job. What was I thinking? Like that sort of stuff is conscious, but it's the unconscious, I think, piece of the money mindset, which is really where the juice is, right? Like the secret sauce. And we just don't spend time thinking about it. But each of us come from like a family of origin, if you were raised by your parents or your grandparents, whatever that is for you. And those people inherently, not, good or bad, there's no judgment on that, but they inherently kind of infused you with this money story, with this money mindset, right? And so you kind of came out of the chute thinking different things about life. And again, no fault of anyone involved. It's just how life operates. And so we grow up with these different unconscious bias, unconscious patterns, thought patterns about money that we don't even really realize that we have. And then we get older, we graduate college, we start working, and we're like, crap, why am I always in credit card debt? Or why do I feel like I can't achieve goals? Or why, all of this. And then you compile that with not talking about money, and it creates this real unhealthy mindset. So it's important to really put that mindset piece in there and think about, okay, who is the family of origin I came from? What did I learn from them? What are the things that I've learned from friends or picked up from them? What are some of these unconscious biases? What are these blocks, these mindset blocks? I'm sure you have examples of this, but
how long do we have?
Right? Me too. I'm right there. This is why I'm really passionate about this. But you can have these stories that you tell yourself over and over again, like, I'm not good at money. I'm never going to get out of debt. I'm never going to be successful. I can't do that. I'm not as good as she is. All of these things, these grizzly bears in your head kind of swirling around that keep you stuck in this negative mindset, which keeps you from moving forward, keeps you from stepping into the goals and the life you want to live. And, some people are like, that seems so simplistic. And yet, with money, it's really these simple things where we all get stuck, but because we don't talk about them, we feel just like completely in isolation. And I just went on like a whole tangent from your question.
No. But this is so important because when you're talking about the goals, you're not talking necessarily about money goals like, oh, I want the house and the picket fence or the yacht or the blah, 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 fill in the blank. It's just goals in general. Like you may keep yourself small in your career because of money craziness that, somehow you've led to believe that is, false or inaccurate, and doesn't allow you to expand.
Yeah, I mean, I share this story all the time with people on my podcast. People are probably like tired of hearing this story, but I had a time in my life, actually a fairly long time, where I would go to the ATM and, get a receipt back when you actually went to the bank. And I would literally fold the receipt up and put it in my wallet. I would never look at the numbers. And I, as a certified financial planner, that might seem totally crazy to somebody, but that was like a negative mindset block for me. If I looked at those numbers, all of a sudden, like the calculator in my head started to go, and I, had myself like kind of all the way down to like, I'm going to be bankrupt by the time I pay everything, even though that's not even close to the truth. But for me, that was one of my triggers. That was a trigger built in, my past from like my parents and growing up around this idea of status and feeling like I needed to have status and things, and not being happy in my life. And so for me, that was like my immediate action was like, I cannot look at these receipts. And it took me years to realize like that is keeping me stuck in so many ways versus just looking, just looking. Like you have to have this awareness. And so I share that story all the time. I mean, I probably have far more stories about those sort of things. I'm the first to admit that, the reason I'm passionate about mindset is because I struggle with this.
Yeah.
And, I feel like, if there's something like you're struggling with, if you can help somebody else with it like that,
well, it comes from a place of like there's genuine and authentic reasons for doing what you're doing, not like, oh, I've got it figured out. It's like, no, I'm going through this with you, and I get this, and I, sort of think about it with my own sort of networking advice. It's like I eat my own dog food on a regular basis. Here's the things I need to do to keep my network vibrant and wholesome and responsive, and that's why I say to you, you should do these things too. But no, when I hear your story, I mean, one of the money mindset things I've had to kind of overcome was a mindset of, I want to say absence, like you can't, we don't have, all that kind of stuff. And it finally took me looking back at my life going, okay, we always had a roof over our head when we were kids. We always had a meal on the table. What was this false narrative that we were given? And how did that keep me through a lot of my life thinking in a very, like, don't stray too far, don't expand too far, because, if you do that, that will lead to uncertainty, and that will lead to, financial crisis, or, which is all kind of crazy. But I did have to say, okay, my strategy this year was not to look at my statements from my financial advisor of what's happening in the stock market. Because
that's probably a good thing. That's a message I actually can support.
I knew you probably would like that one.
Yeah.
So it's really important to sort of like, as part of cultivating this healthy money mindset, is kind of to deal with your money demons.
Yes, it is 100%. Like those monsters that are floating in your head, it's dealing with them, and you need a process to deal with them. And it's not easy, but I, as a certified financial planner, I'm now like what I call a recovering certified financial planner.
Like me as a lawyer. Yep, got it.
Recovering. No longer work with clients, but I worked with clients for over 10 years, and people who had, $100 million in net worth, and people that were just starting out. And it was such a great experience, because what I saw was like these aha moments that it didn't matter how much money you had or didn't have. It didn't matter how old you were. It didn't matter the career you had. It didn't matter any of that, even cultural things. People would get stuck in the same things. And largely it was around some sort of mindset block or something that they're maybe unconsciously carrying with them from whatever, relationships, growing up, whatever that may be. And I would walk them through like this process of kind of uncovering what these mindset blocks are and then focusing on just like small goals a day. And when they would go through this process, it wasn't immediate, but like when people would have that light switch moment where they would go, oh, wait, this mindset trap is keeping me from doing X, Y, and Z. And they would go like, you know what, I'm going to look at the ATM receipts. You know what, I'm going to write out the money things I need to do each day. And I'm going to talk to people about these things. I'm going to, whatever it is for you, when they would start doing these little things, suddenly like big things would start shifting. And, people would be like, was it really that easy all along? And it happened person after person, couple after couple, business after business. And so I started to see like the trends were that when this mindset piece, when people would have this aha moment, and again, it's not immediate, and it's something that, you can have daily, aha moments when people would start to understand the power of the mindset and the piece that it plays in overall success, things would really start to shift. So for me, it was great for me to see that in action and then, reflect it back on myself and go, all right, Shannah, like
eat your own dog food. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So where does the process start? Now I'm like, this is just me. Like, I got to know, like, okay, you've got this range of clients that you have done this with. Can you shed a little light? Like, and I know it's probably in your new money mindset journal. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. So, and
yes.
I'm going to show people where they can find it, and I'll make sure I tweet it out and post it on. And I know I have the link in the show notes over on YouTube, so it's all there. Okay. So where does this all start? Where does the process start? Whether I have 100 million or $1 in my bank account, where does this start?
I think there's a couple of different things I can speak on. And again, this is going to be it. There's a large bubble here. It's going to be a little specific to the person individually because we all receive information and work through these things in different ways. So I can give you a couple of different techniques. Obviously, we need money goals, and it sounds super obvious, but most of us forget that we need daily goals. Like they could be, forget the money part. They could be simple things like, heck, I just want to get up today and I want to, we're in a crazy climate. Like, I want to feel good today. I want to do something that I enjoy today, So the goals really, really root you. And then it's daily action, right? So I say there's like these three A's, I call them, right? So the first is just awareness. So it's going through a process. I have the process in the journal, but you can certainly do this on your own of really understanding your money story. Right. So it's the narrative, it's the story. Think of yourself like a movie, right? It's your first act that has set up the movie. So thinking of it like a narrative, why do I think about money certain ways? Why do I act or don't act around money in certain ways? What are these feelings that I have? So whether that's journaling, talking to a friend, or just being reflective, you have to have some sort of awareness point. And through the awareness point, you can uncover these blocks like that we're talking about, these little things. For me, it's the ATM thing, for other people, it's lots of other things. So figuring out what those blocks are, that's the awareness piece. And we got to have action, and I think that a lot of people think, particularly when it comes to money, bigger goals, let's say like, oh, I want to buy a house, or, I want to move to Saint-Tropez and live on a yacht. I mean, who doesn't, right?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
So people have these big goals, but then they've got these mindset blocks, right? And they're not moving forward each day with with daily action. How are we going to take these little steps to get us to Saint-Tropez? We see this big lofty thing that we want, but we've got to break this down into little bits, and how do we backstep out of that thing so that each day we can be like progressing forward, right? And so the progress forward keeps our mindset also moving forward. If we talk about debt, so many of us have struggled with maybe credit card debt or gone in and out of debt. People right now might be turning to credit cards, and then you read these stories of people like, I paid off $100,000 in 3 months, and you're like, what? How did that even? What? I've been sitting on whatever X amount of dollar credit card debt, and that thing's not moving. Like what? And it really, there's no secret to it. The secret is these daily little steps of just knocking that thing out, right? So we have to have the awareness of our traps, of where we're getting stuck, of our money story, where we come from, all of those sorts of things. Then we have to get to the action piece of understanding what our goals are, even if they're tiny little things. Like what are some of the steps we can take each day to get us to those particular things?
And some of the steps may not be, go and pay down X. It could be, let me send 5 emails to pitch more freelance work, because if I get one of those, it'll bring in this kind of income, and then that can be towards paying off that debt.
It could be, I want to expand my network. And so expanding my network, opens up opportunities for my career, for my business. So, who do I need to connect with? Who can help me get there? Yeah, it literally could be anything under the sun. It's just that daily action. It's just like, moving yourself forward little by little by little. And by doing that, like, your brain is obviously so smart that, those wheels start to turn, and it starts to go, oh, like, we're actually, we told ourselves we're never going to get out of debt, or we told ourselves we're not worthy of that job, or whatever it means. But we're starting to take these steps each day, and our brain's starting to shift, and we're starting to see things happen. So that mindset, or that money lie, or that story, whatever we had in our head, starts kind of getting quieter and quieter and quieter, because we're being proactive with it. We're not just kind of sitting in the corner and going, I'm never going to get out of debt, or I'm never going to get that job, or I'm never going to meet that person, that sort of thing. And then the last A is just, so we've got awareness, we've got action. The last A is just, I call it applause. So it sounds silly, but it's rooting yourself in gratitude. It's rooting yourself in what are some of the, awesome things that happened today. What are the things that I can go, you know what? These things were cool today, even if it's only one thing and I'm really stretching to get there.
Right.
But all of these things work with your mind to, counteract that story that you have going on there, and to counteract that mindset, and to literally like put, wind behind your sail to push you forward. So those are kind of my 3 pieces that work for most everyone. And you can find different nuances in all of those. But I think we really have to start thinking about success in terms of goals, daily action, plus that mindset piece. And if we leave that mindset piece out, at least money-wise, and we could probably say this about anything, but that's really where I see people just, you keep getting stuck. Like you can't progress forward.
Right. Well, sort of realizing how much it permeates so many other things, between our relationship with our career, our relationship with other people, our relationship towards probably risk and things, and and if you don't kind of deal with that gremlin. And I love these 3 A's. One of the other things you talk about is setting intentional goals. Talk about that.
Yeah. So intentional for me is just is a goal that really is reflective of me, of my life, of the vision I have for my life, of what I want to achieve in this day. There is an intention behind this goal. The idea of this goal is that this goal is going to help me get to X. And it could be just feeling a certain way. I want to end the day feeling better or less anxious or less stressed or PO'd or whatever that is than when I woke up in the morning, potentially, you know?
Right.
So it could be just setting an intention that way. It could be, you know, obviously something more tangible, but I find that it's really easy to get stuck in other people's goals.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, oh, Kelly, you know this person, you have this great network. I feel like I need that, and I have to replicate your goals, or you know, it's just really easy to like get stuck in other people's lives.
Right. Well,
And
it could be like other people's ambition for you,
oh
or
yes,
or that you get so distracted because of helping somebody else, you don't focus on your own shit, to put it
yeah,
bluntly.
like let's go back to like getting stuck in somebody else's intention. If we want to talk about like, you know, childhood, I mean, there's a lot of us that get stuck in our parents, you know, like you said, like a parent's like limiting beliefs for you.
Yep.
And it's not there's no judgment attached to that, you know, but like it's the stories of growing up thinking that, you know, because your parents say you've got to be a lawyer, a doctor, or, you know, whatever the third thing is.
Right.
And you don't want to be any of those things. Like you want to be a writer or, you know, some sort of creative, and you go in the doctor, lawyer, you know, field, and you have massive debt and you hate each day until one day you wake up, you know, and those are those mindset shifts and go, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
This is not what I want for my life at all. Like I somehow have to figure out how to go do the thing that I actually always knew that I should be doing.
Right.
And I think like all of us probably have some version of a story like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, because that other thing you really wanted to do when you told your parents wasn't a real job. So
And you'll never make money. And you're
oh
never,
yeah, it's oh my God. Why is that always you'll never make money? Like I mean, maybe it goes back to where we all talk, but so there's intentionality. It could be an intentional goal that day around. Well, this is the whole thing is money permeates anything, and the finances permeate everything. So, but the intentionality could be simply as I'm going to have a great day today, or I'm going to, as you noted, I'm going to feel better at the end of the day than I do at the beginning of the day. And then you just go out and make that happen.
yeah, exactly. And then like what are the okay, great, that's my intentional goal. So what are some of the steps, you know? 1, 2, or 3 things. Like what are just a couple things if you know, my intentional goal is like I want to feel better at the end of the day. All right, well, it's not just going to magically happen.
Right.
So, I mean, I wish, but you know, what is it like? Do I enjoy a long walk or yoga or my coffee or you know, whatever it is, it's putting some sort of action behind that.
Yeah.
And when you move through the day in that way, you work to really change that mindset piece, because things that seemed impossible start to become possible, even in just the slightest way.
Yeah. Well, that's like yeah. That's like it's like some of this is so. You know what? I'm gonna use a compliment that I received once from someone who heard me speak. It's like, your advice is deceptively simple.
Yes.
This
It is.
it's
Isn't it?
yeah, go.
But that's where we get stuck, right? We get stuck in the easy stuff, you know. I often tell people around money that, you know, so I teach at a university here, and I feel just so horrible for the students right now because this is just such a weird environment. But they'll say, like when I start the semester, I'll ask them, you know, what do you want to learn? What kind of money topics? And everybody's like, oh, I want to learn how to invest in cryptocurrency and you know, cannabis stocks and flip houses, and you know, they'll list this myriad of things. We're like, that's all fantastic, but we got to build a foundation on the house. Like, you know, we have to pour the concrete, put up the walls, and you know, we need to create this foundation around money before we go do those other things. So I think we just, as like human nature, we want to just breeze past those things. But whether it's like your career or networking or money, like when you come back to those foundational things and you understand the importance, that the role that they play in doing all that other stuff, then it's like, oh, okay, I get it, and that's really where things start shifting. And I wouldn't know this. I wouldn't have this sort of perspective had I not, worked with hundreds of people and saw literally like the exact same patterns over and over and over again.
It's amazing that you notice this, because you would think if someone, I sort of, our mind, this goes back to the, sort of deceptively simple, which was, you could imagine someone who had continually lost money. You could say, come on, here's the pattern, here's the process, like whatever. But if you're seeing this even with people who had been seemingly balance sheet successful, and you were like, yeah, we got some work to do here.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't divulge names, but I worked with a couple who were in their 60s, and if you looked at them from the outside, you would say, I mean, life's great, right? Like, brilliant house, lovely house, all the cars, the Rolexes, you name it, the bags, the shoes, the blah blah blah,
Yeah, our trappings of financial success. Yeah.
The whole kit and caboodle. And they were the husband was partner with somebody else, and they were trying to sell their business, and so they were having some issues around credit score. And so they called me in and said, the couple I was working with, like, can you help us with our credit score? We need to improve it so we can sell this business. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I go in and meet with he and his wife, and I mean, when you lift when you lift up and you look underneath, it was like, oh my gosh, I mean, things were just a mess. They had never talked about money, the two of them. She thought they were in a position that they were not in, and he didn't want to share with her because he grew up thinking that husbands don't share when things aren't going so well with the wife. And the wife then had her status things from her childhood that she had never dealt with. So her reaction was just to go out and buy more stuff. And I mean, we could dig and dig for hours and hours and hours. And, it was just another example how on the outside we portray one image, but, underneath there's a lot going on. And a lot of it was mindset stuff. So we literally had to, like, okay, let's suit up and let's dig through this mindset stuff. Why are you feeling this way? How did, where did this come from? Can we figure that out? And so we had to, like, clear all of that and really talk about it and have discussions around it. And then we had to put in these steps. We had to put in for each of them, the awareness piece, the action piece, the applause piece. And again, it sounds so basic, but it took all of that stuff to then be able to go, okay, now we can fix the credit score.
Well, because otherwise you could just do like a Band-Aid, and then this pattern would continue.
Yep. The same thing over and over. And I can't tell you how many times I would work with clients and I would know that there's a mindset issue going on, that we just was not to the surface, or, we were not, particularly with couples, and we were not, we could not talk about this. And so they would, hire me. I would do my thing. They would leave. And then 6 months later, they'd come back, the same problem over and over again, and it would be the same conversation. Okay. Until we start to look at this differently, this is going to happen over and over again. So, I mean, there are just so many of the stories, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, when I share these stories, it's more to show people, like, how alike we all are versus how different. We're so alike, but because we go back to, like, this idea of not talking about money, it keeps us in this, this space, this box, where we feel like our mistakes are original, and they're not. And, our traps feel original to us, and they're not. So, I share these things just, like, so that
because too, it's like, I don't know, the as you said the word earlier, the shame around not having what a society sort of dictates or assumes one should reach kind of milestones and achievements at a certain point. And if you don't achieve those things or don't have those things, and often enough, they're tied up in money. What else is part of this? Because one of the other things you talked about intentional goals, and you talk about creating this, this roadmap so that you are successful when it comes to all of these pieces. So what else is part of this creating like this success roadmap? What else needs to be in it?
Yeah. Again, this is going to seem super basic, but it's the visioning piece. It's really crafting a vision for the life you want to live without getting stuck in somebody else's vision. And so if you think about it, if I got in a car, I live in LA, and if I get a car to drive to you in New York, and I didn't have any map or any GPS or anything, I might eventually get to you. But I'm going to do a heck of a lot of zigzags along the way to make that happen. And I'm going to use a lot of gas. So by creating a vision, and I mean, there's nothing wrong. I'm a vision board girl. So there's nothing wrong with going back to when you were a kid and you cut out the magazine stuff, and whether it's mantras for you or whatever it is, but creating this vision creates your roadmap. It roots you in what are those daily goals? What are those intentional daily goals? What are those action steps? Because where am I going? I'm going to this vision that I'm creating. And I think particularly when we talk about money, it helps give you that direction that you need. So hopefully you don't make as many, U-turns or zigzags. You have a more direct focus. I think as humans, we need focus. We need something to keep our eyes on, to keep moving towards. And it doesn't have to be about stuff again. It can be about, you want to just live someplace where you can look out and see green, or, you want to have, I'm just making something up here, but you want to play tennis every day. Like that's something that's the vision of your life, whatever that is. Maybe you want to, cultivate this great group of friends. So these things don't have to be monetary associated, but really creating this vision, because that vision is the driving force behind you. And I think we leave that again out of the equation a lot when we talk about money. When we talk about, well, you need a house, you need, 2.5 kids, whatever that is. I do not know.
Who's that 0.5 child?
I don't know who the 5.
Where is the 0.5 child?
Yeah. And it's like, we've grown up thinking that we have to live life in this like sequential order with these things. That is for a lot of us, that's not the life we really want to live, or that doesn't make sense for us. Or,
well, you spend all this time thinking about what you don't have, as opposed to as you talked about, the forward momentum and action, and realizing that, your time will unfold, as it's supposed to unfold. And if you're sitting there, it's sort of like running a relay race, or, looking to see where the other person is rather than running your race. And so if we don't shed this stuff, we're going to continually be looking around. And New York is a great example for that. I love this city. It's been home since 1998, but you can't be neurotic here about what you have, because there is someone who has something better.
Yeah.
And they're in really close proximity. It's not like you have to go far to see that someone's got a bigger apartment, a bigger, you name it, right? So you got to be comfortable in your own skin, and you got to be comfortable with pursuing your own goals, or you're just going to be so distracted and accomplishing nothing, which then probably will drive that negative mindset further and further and further and further, somewhere that's hard to unspiral.
And there's nothing wrong with striving for things, I mean, there is nothing necessarily inherently wrong in that, if that fits in with your life. And I think I run a lot of workshops with women, and one of the first questions I ask them is, how much money do you actually need to make to live the life you want to live? And you'd think that would be like an easy question, but it's like, well, $1 million, or well, this, okay, but why? And then once you start backing out of that, you realize like, oh, maybe this person only needs to make 70,000, or I'm just making these numbers up, but
Right.
70,000 to facilitate the life that they just feel really comfortable living. But they've been stuck in this mindset thinking that they have to make $500,000, and they're
Right.
killing themselves to do it. And, their lifestyle and their overall attitude about life is really in a negative place until, it's almost like giving yourself a permission slip of, this is the life I want to live. Here is the number that I need to help facilitate that. And then again, of course, striving for things is not bad as long as it fits into that vision and as long as it keeps you
Like
moving.
it's your,
yeah,
it's your vision, not
Yeah.
like keeping up with the Joneses.
right.
A random New Yorker vision. Like it's got to be like your vision and all this kind of. And I love you said this thing about, you mentioned like your friends and journaling, and I know that and let's talk about your journal. Let's talk about that, because you also talk about meditation and how like I love that the fact that this is sort of like the finance, the money first kind of like holistically looking at your life, realizing that all of these pieces, like, this could be the major blockage holding you back or moving you forward. So talk to us about the journal, please.
Yeah. So this is the journal. She's quite pretty. And it's a 6-month journal. It's an undated journal, and it is now on Kickstarter. We're have 28 more days to go.
There's
yes,
people who can find it. Yep.
On Kickstarter. And really, I created this product because I was searching for something to help me with my money mindset, and I couldn't find anything. And I had been having just, blank journals, and I would just scribble each day, what's my goal? What's this? I would have a section where I would work through my money story and kind of ask myself questions, as strange as that may seem. And it was so helpful for me that I started to teach it to other friends. And it just kind of turned into like, what? We actually need to create this as a product. I would go in all those, like paper source stores, and they have, all these different like kitschy products. And I was like, this is what I should be doing with my expertise. And so I had a really weird thing happen in October 2018. I was waiting to go in a yoga class, and like a light switch, suddenly became deaf in my left ear. And so I'm about 100% deaf in my left ear with 24/7 tinnitus, which is like the worst like TV static in your head. So it's this weird like dichotomy of I can't hear sound, but I can hear the tinnitus all the time. So going through that experience really rooted me in this idea of like, you got to get your mind together. Like you can't, this mindset piece is so important. Like if I have a stressful day, I feel it in my body, I feel it in my ear. And so I think those two things just really started to connect with me. And so last October, I said to my husband, like, that's it. We're starting a company, and we named the company Hello, It's Me, which is just the idea that nobody gets to tell your story but you. And, you step into each day like, this is me.
Yeah.
And so this is our first product. And we're just so excited to be able to bring it to people and have them experience this. I am not a like natural journaler. Like I'm not someone that sits down and just journal for hours. Like I need a structure. And so this is 6 months, easy. It's the easiest way to track your cash. I mean, the easiest system to help you see maybe where there are things that are going a little awry. It's an easy daily system of checking in with yourself, of setting these intentional goals, of being grateful. We have some like just kick-ass quotes in here. We like spend months saying like, we don't want quotes that are in every journal. Like we want, some very original quotes. And then we just have some cool things in there, like money mindset playlist. We have a Spotify playlist. We have like a breathing exercise. We have some easy yoga things. Just this whole idea of mindfulness around money, and how if you can create this center of mindfulness, you can really create the opportunity for change. So yeah, I haven't seen anything like it, and it's just one of those great like books to put on your nightstand, and a couple minutes in the morning, couple minutes at night, couple minutes beginning end of month, and it's the roadmap for helping you get past this stuff, and also to understand where the heck your money mindset blocks are and what your money story is. So
Oh, this is exciting. And you did a lot of research. I mean, here, applause for you for doing all this research to create a product. That's a huge, huge, huge undertaking. Yeah. Did you ever think you'd start a product company?
I had a sneaky feeling, when I talk about like listening to those little voices in your head, there was definitely one that kept telling me like, you are supposed to have a product company. So it just took me a while to have the guts to actually like go. And I mean, writing books, like when you burst something into the world, it's like,
Yeah. No, I don't know if it's actually the birth of it, or like being the pregnant with it, like wanting to make it happen. That's the one that there's maybe a little fear when it gets out there, but it's almost worse when it's in you and you're like, oh my God, I have to do this.
Yeah. And we'd been working on this for 8 months, and then this whole global pandemic thing happened. And we were like, what do we do? And we just had this moment of like, I mean, look, if we ever need a good money mindset, the time is now.
Right.
And, what better way to help you get focused and to help you, work through it, whether you have anxiety over this, or you just want to get to like another level with yourself or with your career, your life, whatever it may be. Like this is a system that's so easy that's going to motivate you. And, I think some people get a little nervous around the word money, but, this is not your spreadsheets and budget track. You don't have to be good at math. You don't have to, none of that stuff. I mean, I couldn't create a product like that. I still need a calculator.
Yeah.
So this is just approachable. It's the thing to help you feel good about this stuff, not to keep you stuck in all the muck. I think there's plenty of things out there that do that. This is to say, like, you got this. Like, just take these little steps each day. Focus on the quotes. Remember to breathe. All of these little things, and all of that's going to provide the momentum. So this is just our first product. We have many, many more in the chute that are like this. Not all money centric, but all focused on this idea of like mindset and mindfulness. So. Yeah, I'm excited, and like just can't wait for people to be able to use this to help them.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Well, I will make sure when I would say it, I know the Kickstarter is in the show notes over on YouTube, but I'll make sure it gets out on Twitter, since this is going out on Periscope as well.
Yes.
Where can, beyond Kickstarter, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my podcast is Millennial Money, and you can find me literally on every single podcast player. So even if you just do Google search Millennial Money, you'll find me. The website is M Money Podcast, but just go to your favorite podcast player and you can find me. We do episodes, as we talked earlier here. Money touches all aspects of life, so we're going to talk about all aspects of life. So yeah, we have a good time. Would love to have everybody over there.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, thank you. Stay healthy, stay well, and let's kick butt on your Kickstarter, because clearly more people need this. This tool,
thank
process.
You. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannah.